Chokepoints, the new Cold War battleground. In 1883, Alfred Thayer Mahan articulated a fundamental truth about global power. Control of the seas equates to control of the world. This wasn't just about naval might, it was about strategic chokepoints, the narrow passages through which most of the world's trade must flow. These chokepoints are more than just geographical features. They are the pressure points of global economics and geopolitics. By controlling these passages, a nation can exert influence without resorting to outright military action. They can strangle economies and restrict military movements without firing a single shot. For much of the past century, the United States understood and leveraged this reality. However, recent actions suggest a concerning shift in this understanding. Meanwhile, America's adversaries, China, Russia, and Iran, have been quietly but steadily reshaping the global trade landscape to their advantage. The battle for control over the world's shipping lanes is now in full swing. A pivotal moment came in July 2024 when an American-flagged oil tanker, the MV Overseas Santorini, encountered difficulties during a routine refueling stop in Gibraltar. This incident, seemingly minor, sent shockwaves through naval circles attuned to great power competition. This event exemplifies the new Cold War at sea. Small transgressions against American maritime interests, often dismissed as isolated incidents, are actually part of a larger pattern. While many in the shipping world, particularly in Europe, shrug off these events, the Pentagon sees a different picture emerging. History doesn't always turn on dramatic declarations. Often it's the accumulation of small, ignored shifts, a denied refueling request here, a preferential port agreement there, that reshape the balance of power. By the time these patterns become impossible to ignore, the geopolitical landscape has already changed dramatically. The MV Overseas Santorini incident, while not officially deemed a crisis, revealed deeper issues. Investigations showed that the decision originated from a small faction of British parliamentarians with their own agenda. More importantly, the Overseas Santorini wasn't just another commercial tanker. It was a U.S. military-designated strategic asset under the MARAD tanker security program. The contrast in responses to similar incidents is telling. When a Norwegian company announced it would refuse to fuel U.S.-affiliated ships, the White House pushed back immediately, resulting in a swift resolution. This stark difference in outcomes raises questions about the shifting dynamics of global maritime influence. Choke points are more than just military concerns. They are the fault lines of economic power. They determine who controls the movement of oil, food, and raw materials. China, in particular, has spent decades systematically acquiring stakes in ports, forging long-term strategic deals, and building a navy capable of enforcing its economic dominance. The threat isn't just outright blockades, it's the potential for disruption, slowdowns, and selective enforcement of unwritten rules. If a nation can't move goods freely, its economy becomes vulnerable to whoever controls the transit lanes. The United States, long convinced that naval supremacy alone was sufficient, has allowed its merchant fleet to decline. The assumption that commercial shipping would always function as a neutral, market-driven force is now being challenged by the harsh realities of geopolitics. The next global crisis may not start with a missile strike or a naval battle. Instead, it could begin when a strategic waterway is cut off, or when the gradual accumulation of regulatory restrictions and hostile port policies make trade routes functionally unusable. The new map of global maritime influence tells a concerning story. China now controls ports at both ends of the Panama Canal and holds major stakes in terminals at the Suez Canal, the Bosporus, and the English Channel. It has established a naval base at the entrance to the Red Sea, turning a critical corridor into contested waters. In the Pacific, the Luzon Strait, one of the world's most vital shipping lanes, is under near constant surveillance by the Chinese Navy, Coast Guard, and maritime militia. The Strait of Hormuz, through which 20% of the world's oil passes, is potentially one Iranian move away from closure. Meanwhile, the International Maritime Organization, IMO, now heavily influenced by Panama, has begun reshaping global shipping regulations in ways that disproportionately favor China. This shift in regulatory power adds another layer of complexity to the already tense situation. The fight over choke points is no longer theoretical. It's happening now, playing out in port buyouts, regulatory chokeholds, and economic warfare disguised as environmental policy. The balance of power in global trade is shifting, and the consequences could reshape the world economy for decades to come. Have you ever wondered how a simple shipping route could shape the future of global power? Welcome to the new Cold War, where the battleground isn't just on land or in the air, but in the narrow waterways that control the flow of world trade. In this video, we've explored how choke points have become the new battleground in a modern Cold War. We've seen how control over narrow waterways can shape global power without firing a single shot. We've learned that countries like China, Russia, and Iran have been quietly reshaping global trade to their advantage, while the United States has potentially overlooked the importance of its merchant fleet. Key takeaways include the strategic importance of ports and waterways like the Panama Canal, Suez Canal, and Strait of Hormuz. We've also seen how regulatory bodies like the IMO can be influenced to favor certain nations. Finally, we've discussed how the next global crisis might not start with overt military action, but through the gradual tightening of control over these vital trade routes. Thank you for watching our exploration of the new Cold War and its focus on global trade choke points. We hope this video has given you valuable insights into the complex world of international maritime strategy.